After he criticized Sessions for recusing himself of the Russia investigation, this morning the president tweeted, quote, "So why are the committees and investigators and, of course, our beleaguered AG looking into crooked Hillary's crimes and Russia relations?" A new attack against one of his earliest and most loyal supporters. Now the president's new communications director is weighing in on all of this. Our Jeff Zeleny is at the White House for the breaking news. So do we know, has the president even spoken directly to the Attorney General since his comments about him in the New York Times last week?
Well, Anderson, he has not spoken to the Attorney General. And the new communications director, like you said, Anthony Scaramucci, he told our Sarah Murray earlier today that, look, he said that they need to have a face-to-face discussion about their future. Well, that's interesting that the communications director would say that the president and the Attorney General should have a conversation, but the president has not asked for one. The president has not brought the Attorney General, who's not just any old Attorney General, Anderson. He was his most loyal, committed, dedicated supporter back during the presidential campaign. He left his job in the safe Senate seat of Alabama to become the Attorney General. He, in fact, Jeff Sessions was in the West Wing today, we are told. He was having normal meetings with the White House counsel's office, with other advisors, but not with the president. We are told that they have not spoken since before that New York Times interview, where last week the president essentially threw his Attorney General under the bus. And we got a window into the president's thinking today during a photo op with interns, of all things, when the president was standing silently to take a picture. Then a reporter asked him this.
Mr. President, should Jeff Sessions resign?
Roll there, and the smirk spoke volumes, although he did not speak anything at all. But Anderson, again tonight, the president was in West Virginia speaking at a Boy Scout jamboree. He invited some Eagle Scouts who serve in his cabinet to be on stage with him. Rick Perry, the Energy Secretary, Ryan Zinke, the Interior Secretary. Jeff Sessions is also an Eagle Scout. He was not invited, Anderson.
Also, Rex Tillerson is, isn't he?
Indeed, Rex Tillerson was not there. He is an Eagle Scout as well. You know, read into that what you will, but the reality here is the president and Jeff Sessions, no two people were closer during the campaign, but because of Attorney General Sessions' decision to recuse himself from that Russia investigation 4 months ago, the president fuming about it, and we're told he's gotten even angrier as those months have gone past.
And former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani's name has sort of been bandied about as a possible replacement. He actually commented about that.
He did indeed. I mean, Rudy Giuliani was talked about being the Secretary of State, perhaps, or a variety of other things. But there's been a big rumor in Washington who would replace Jeff Sessions if he would step down. Well, Rudy Giuliani was flying to Washington today, and CNN caught up with him and asked him about this. And he said, "Look, there's no truth to this rumor. I am not going to be named the next Attorney General." And he also said, "Look, I believe that Jeff Sessions did the right thing by recusing himself from this Russia investigation. And should the president, if the president would appoint him, there's a good reason to believe that he would have to recuse himself as well, because Rudy Giuliani was also involved in the campaign at the same time period." But Anderson, it points out how difficult it would be in this environment in Washington to confirm a new Attorney General. It's one of the reasons that a lot of people here, a lot of smart minds, think that the Attorney General will stay. But again, of course, that's all up to the president. We'll see if they ever have that meeting, Anderson.
All right, Jeff Zeleny, thanks very much. Back with the panel, joining the conversation, Kirsten Powers, Matt Lewis, Paul Bangla, and Jason Miller. Jason, should the president sit down with his Attorney General, and why do you think he hasn't?
Well, I think the president has to make a decision here. I mean, Jeff Sessions is someone who is very loyal on the campaign trail. He's a favorite of conservatives. He's a favorite of Trump Nation supporters through and through. But look, the president clearly has an issue with Jeff Sessions recusing himself from this Russia investigation. And if it's something that the president fundamentally can't get over, then he needs to fire him. I think the further this goes on without dealing with it, I think this is problematic and it distracts away from the bigger things we should be dealing with, like repealing and replacing Obamacare. But I will say that Jeff Sessions does have a big, strong support base across both the administration out in the country. A lot of tough days on that campaign. Jeff Sessions never wavered.
It is interesting that there was nobody more loyal to Donald Trump than Jeff Sessions, and this is how Trump, and by the way, Trump a lot more loyal to Vladimir Putin, who also played a critical role in electing him. He's the only person, I think, that Trump has remained loyal to. Sessions had to recuse himself. He was simply following the law. He had no choice. Rudy Giuliani said so today when CNN's reporter grabbed him at the airport.
Also, President Trump seemed to believe that Sessions should have told him before he got the job, which that he was going to recuse himself, but at that point, as far as I know, he didn't know he was going to recuse himself because he only recused himself after his testimony.
Well, he would have had to recuse himself irrespective of his testimony because he played a critical role in the campaign. The investigation touches and concerns the campaign. So anybody who helped in that campaign can't investigate the campaign. So even if he hadn't given the misleading, problematic testimony to the Senate Judiciary Committee, he had to step aside. This is what's bothersome, is the loyalty has to be to the rule of law. The Attorney General had no choice. It wasn't simply, I don't feel like doing my job. It was, my job requires me to recuse, and the president doesn't understand that.
But what's really, I think, disturbing here is that he's not firing him, that he's really torturing him, I think, right now, and toying with him, and he's like almost insulting him publicly 2 times in a week. Trying to get him to quit because he doesn't have the guts to fire people. It reminds me of the movie Office Space, where they don't fire Milton, they just like take his stapler and move him to the basement. Is Jeff Sessions going to find his office down by the furnace or something?
It's how they do it with TV anchors as well.
Wow, that's
I don't need to go into more detail on that one. Everyone just got very nervous. But I mean, it is interesting for a president who, made a name for being the guy you're fired.
But that's the irony is he actually doesn't. He's not very good when it comes to saying things face to face to people. He's not, as much as he was Mr. You're Fired on TV. That's actually not how he operates, and so he's more likely to try to drive him out. For me, the question is why now? I mean, we know that he's been upset with Sessions since the very beginning, since he recused himself, but now he's really going after him in a much more intense way than he was before. And to me, it suggests that he's realizing that this is serious and that the Russia investigation is a real problem. And so, whereas he was frustrated before, now he's panicking.
But there's nothing he won't do, apparently. I mean, we all thought it would be folly that he would fire the FBI director, investigate him. Well, he did that. I mean, Paul will tell you, President Clinton was not very happy with Janet Reno at various points.
Or Louis Freeh, his FBI
Or Louis Freeh, right.
He didn't fire either.
Nor were top White House, some of your colleagues at the time. But there was a sense that there was an independence of the Justice Department and of the FBI. This president doesn't believe there's any independence. And he'll steamroll. There's no reason he won't make a move on Mueller, or he won't fire the AG, and on down the line. He wants to litigate every aspect of this before he has to even litigate it.
If he fires, if he fires Jeff Sessions, let's play it out.
Or Sessions resigns.
Or Sessions resigns. And he wants, first of all, very difficult to get another AG in there, even if you try and
Rod
do
Rosenstein
it during
gets elevated.
a recess. Rod Rosenstein gets elevated. He doesn't like Rosenstein either,
right?
Because he's from Baltimore or whatever. So he doesn't like Rod.
Because there's too many Democrats in Baltimore, unlike New York City, where Mr. Trump is not actually from Baltimore.
Rosenstein probably leaves.
So he doesn't want to elevate Rosenstein. What does Rosenstein do? Does Rosenstein stay? Does Rosenstein quit? Does he ask Rosenstein to fire Mueller, and Rosenstein refuses to fire Mueller, and on and on? And if he wants to fire Mueller, I guarantee you his legal team would quit. I can't imagine the president's legal team saying, it's okay for
Jason,
you to
do you think
fire
it would
the
be hard to get another attorney general?
Special counsel.
I think there is one thing that's a little bit different with this president, this administration, that we got to take a step back. And if we rewind a couple months ago, and we heard all the talk about firing Comey, and it would be the sky is falling, and oh my gosh, how can we ever come back from this?
It did.
And no, but I think, look, this president has the authority. If he wants to go and fire somebody in his administration, he can. Right. That's his right as president to do so. And so he invariably will fire people at various points this administration. And I think we need to take a step back and realize that this administration is different. And it doesn't.
But do you think it will be hard to get somebody passed on Capitol Hill, another attorney general? I mean, given this climate.
Look, in this climate, of course, the partisan opponents are going to go and make a lot of hay out of this and turn it into 1 month-long spectacle on Russia and everything else they can, and that'll be an even bigger distraction away from what the president is trying to do. And so, I mean, that's why I hope that the president sticks with Jeff Sessions and keeps him there.
I don't think he's going to get away from this, though, because there have been occasions where he has, suddenly gotten mad at somebody and then it blows over. But this is the second or third iteration of this, I think. And it's the way that Trump constantly brings up that he actually won the popular vote. And this is one of those things that I just don't see him getting over it. Because every time Russia comes up, he blames Sessions.
We got to take a quick break. We're going to continue this discussion. Also, we're going to hear what Sessions had to say after the president said he would have picked someone else for the job.